Something frightening is happening in America, something no one is openly admitting, and it needs your attention right now. What I am about to tell you about Charlie Kirk, what I have said, and what is quietly true, may change how you think about free speech, courage, and what it means to stand for something in these times. Stay with me till the very end, because I will tell you what no one else is saying, and this could be one of the most important pieces of information you hear today. Now, before I continue, let me ask you a question. What city are you watching from? Drop it in the comments below. I want to see seniors from across this country and across the world speaking up, because this message is not just for one state or one town. This message matters, no matter where you are. And if you value clarity in these chaotic times, hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, because this kind of message, the one you are about to hear, doesn't get shared often, but it might be exactly what you or someone you love needs to hear right now. I promise you by the end of this message, you will understand something most people will refuse to believe. You will see a side of things connected to what happened with Charlie Kirk that the mainstream is not showing. It will give you direction, hope, and perhaps a roadmap for what we all should be doing from here forward. If you want courage, if you want truth, if you want to understand what's really at stake, you are in the right place. We'll go through several points. Each point builds on the next. I will share things about what I said, why I said them, what the reactions have been, how this reflects deeper currents in our society. And at the very end, the sixth point, the most important one, I will reveal what is really going on behind the scenes that no one is saying. Something rare, something true, something essential. Point 1. What happened with Charlie Kirk? In brief. On the 10th of September, 2025, Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, was speaking at Utah Valley University on his American Comeback Tour when he was shot during the event. The reports say he was struck in the neck, rushed to hospital in critical condition, and later died. Immediately, reactions poured in from every side. Presidents, public figures, business leaders, many expressed shock, grief, condemnation. Some called it political violence, an attack on freedom of speech, fearful thoughts for his wife, his children, for our nation. If you are watching right now and you believe the truth is more important than the noise, type truth in the comments, because that's what we're after. Not spin, not half-truths. I know many of you, you watch the news, you feel that you are being manipulated by what media tells you, you wonder how much of what is being said is the reality, how much is fear, how much is blaming. How much is truth? That doubt is heavy, and it is righteous. We need to carry it, because it helps us see clearly. In times like these, I encourage you to use something I call the 31-day daily high-impact planner. It's simple, one sheet per day, where you write down what truth you want to seek, who you want to pray for, what courage you will show, one small act of kindness, one thing you will learn. Do that each morning. It keeps you anchored, because when chaos comes, purpose can be lost. But with purpose, with quiet clarity, you find your strength. So before we continue, I was wondering how I can help seniors in this community. I decided to create an app that focuses on either health and medication support or financial safety and scam defense. Which do you find more important right now? Comment either health or finance, as this will help us understand your current needs and how we can best support you. Point 1 is the background. We are going deeper with point 2, what I said and why I said them. So do not click away. The sixth point will open your eyes. It may make you reconsider what you thought was certain. If you care about America, about your legacy, about the values you want remembered after you are gone, you will listen till that moment. Listen carefully, because words matter. When Charlie Kirk was struck down, I made a statement that many of you saw online. I said, this shows what we're facing. Free speech is under direct attack. And if we do not recognize it now, we may lose it forever. Some people praised that. Others twisted it. Some even tried to silence the meaning of it. But what I really said wasn't only about politics. It was about something larger, something that touches every one of us in this room, in this country, in every home. And unless we face this truth together, it will keep happening in different forms again and again. Do you realize freedom of speech is the backbone of every other freedom you enjoy? Without it, your prayers are silent. Without it, your children's future is dictated. Without it, even truth itself becomes illegal. Think about that. Think about your grandchildren growing up in a world where they are told what to say, how to think, what they are allowed to believe. That's not a future. That's a prison. Let me ask you, what's one thing you would never want to lose the freedom to say? Think of that one thing and put it in the comments right now. It could be your faith, your beliefs about family, even a simple truth you hold in your heart. Write it down. Because once you declare it, you anchor yourself to it, and no power on earth can take that away. But here's the part no one wants to admit. Charlie's tragedy wasn't just about one man being attacked. It was a warning sign, a sign that when truth becomes dangerous, people become targets. When courage is punished, silence becomes law. That is why my statement was not casual. It was not random. It was a warning. And I'll say it again. If we don't defend truth now, it will vanish in the night, without sound, without return. Have you noticed? The moment someone speaks boldly, there are two reactions, admiration and fear. People love to watch someone speak truth until the consequences arrive. Then they step back. They hide. They say, "That's not my fight." But let me ask you, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? If we stand back today, who will stand for your children tomorrow? Many of you are in your 60s, 70s, 80s. You've seen decades of change in America. You've watched promises made and broken. You've seen institutions rise and collapse. You know what courage looks like. You know what fear feels like. And you know deep down, when history is shifting before your very eyes, I'm telling you, this is such a moment. And if you feel that knot in your stomach, that weight in your chest, it's because your instincts are screaming that this matters. Do not ignore that voice. Now, this is only point 2. We are just scratching the surface. Because the question is not only what I said. The deeper question is, why is no one asking the bigger questions? Why are we being distracted by shallow headlines while the deeper truth remains buried? There's something very deliberate about that. And if you think this is random, you're mistaken. That is why you must stay with me until the end. Because in the 6th and 7th point, I will reveal exactly what really happened that no one is telling you. It's not political noise. It's wisdom. It's rare. It's life-altering. And it may help you and your family prepare for what comes next. I want you to think of this. When was the last time you were silenced? Maybe at work. Maybe even within your own family. Maybe in your community. Because people said, "Don't talk about that." Did you stay silent, or did you speak anyway? Tell me in the comments. Your courage might inspire someone else watching right now. We're building a community of truth seekers right here. And someone may need your words today. Here's something you can practice tonight. Take a blank sheet of paper. Write down the 5 truths that you would never compromise on, no matter what. Keep it in your wallet, your Bible, your nightstand drawer. Read it every morning. Pray over it. That piece of paper becomes your shield. And when the world tries to push you into silence, you will remember what you stand for. That's how strength begins. That's how resistance grows. This is why my words about Charlie Kirk mattered. But words alone are not enough. Which brings us to something deeper. Something you need to hear next. What lesson does this moment teach us about responsibility? About courage? About what your role truly is in this battle? That's what we'll explore next. Because without understanding your role, the truth won't survive. Let's go deeper. Because Charlie Kirk's tragedy and my words about it are not just about freedom of speech. They reveal something heavier. A question about your responsibility. About your courage. About your role in this moment of history. The truth is, if you're watching this right now, you are not here by accident. You were meant to hear this message. And before the end, you'll understand why. Think of it like this. Every generation is handed a test. Some fail, some endure, some rise. We are living through one of those tests right now. The assassination of Charlie Kirk was not only a crime, not only an act of violence. It was a signal. A signal that the pressure on truth-tellers is reaching a dangerous new level. And here's the uncomfortable part. You cannot simply sit on the sidelines anymore. You are either building courage or you are quietly feeding fear. And there is no middle ground. Ask yourself, if everyone around you stayed silent, would you still be willing to speak? If your neighbors stayed in their homes, would you step into the street? If your own family told you it's not worth the risk, would you stand anyway? These questions are not theoretical anymore. They are real. And your answer matters more than you know. Tell me this in the comments. When was a time you had to be courageous, even when you felt afraid? It could have been a small moment, standing up for a friend, speaking truth in church, or refusing to compromise your values. Share it below. Because the more you write, the more others see. Courage is not rare. Courage is contagious. But here's what you must understand. Responsibility is not just about what you protect for yourself. It's about what you secure for others. If your children or grandchildren are watching the world collapse in silence, they will think silence is normal. If they see you bend under pressure, they will think surrender is the only way to survive. But if they see you stand, even in small ways, even when your voice shakes, they will learn that truth is worth more than comfort. Many of you watching are in the later chapters of your life. You've raised families, built communities, held jobs, served faithfully. But I want to challenge you. Your responsibility is not over. In fact, your wisdom, your steadiness, your perspective may be the exact thing younger generations need right now. If you walk away, if you give in to despair, if you believe the lie that you have nothing left to give, then fear has already won. Do not let fear write your final chapter. And here's where it gets even heavier, because there's something most people don't know yet. Something about what really happened with Charlie Kirk, something connected to the deeper patterns of our society, something no one is saying aloud. That truth will be revealed later in this message. It is rare. It is sobering, and it might just change the way you see what's unfolding around you. That's why I beg you, do not stop watching before the sixth point, because if you miss it, you may miss your chance to prepare. Tonight, I want you to practice one thing. When fear tries to silence you, pause and say out loud, I was born for this time. Repeat it until your voice steadies. Say it when you read the news. Say it when doubt rises. Say it when you pray. That simple act reprograms your mind to see responsibility not as a burden, but as a calling. And once you accept that calling, your courage begins to grow. Tell me, do you believe you were born for this time? Write yes in the comments if you do. And if you don't believe it yet, be honest. Say, I'm not sure. This is not about pretending. This is about being real, because honesty is the first step to courage. Responsibility and courage, those are the foundations. But what do they mean in action? What can you actually do? How can you live this out when the world feels overwhelming? That's where we go next. Because if you don't know what steps to take, your courage will remain silent. And silence, my friends, is the most dangerous choice of all. Now, let's talk about action. Because responsibility without action is nothing but a thought in your head. And thoughts left alone vanish. If Charlie Kirk's tragedy teaches us anything, it is this. If you don't act today, tomorrow may be too late. You cannot wait for leaders, governments, or media to fix this. It starts with you, right now, in your own home, with your own voice, in your own community. Here is the warning. The longer you wait, the harder it becomes. Truth is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it atrophies. Courage is like a flame. If you don't feed it, it dies out. And community? Community is like glass. If it shatters once, it may never come back together again. That's why the time to act is now. Not when it's convenient. Not when it feels safe. But now. I want you to write this in the comments. What is one action you will take this week to stand for truth? It doesn't matter if it's small. Maybe it's calling a friend and encouraging them. Maybe it's speaking up at church. Maybe it's finally saying out loud what you've been holding in. Declare it publicly right now. Because when you write it, you give it power and you give others courage to do the same. But let me warn you. Action comes with cost. Every step you take will be resisted. Every word of truth you speak will be tested. The question is, will you back down or will you continue? That's why you must prepare not only for action, but for resistance. And later, in point 6, I will reveal exactly why resistance is increasing in ways most people don't even realize and what no one is saying about what really happened with Charlie Kirk. That knowledge could be the difference between standing strong or collapsing under pressure. Let me give you 3 things you can start doing immediately. First, build daily clarity. Every morning, before you touch your phone or turn on the television, write down your top 3 commitments. Who you will encourage, what truth you will stand for, and how you will pray. This is where the 31-day daily high-impact planner becomes a weapon, not just a tool. Seniors who have used it tell me it gives them peace, energy, and courage every single day. Second, create safe conversations. Invite 2 or 3 trusted people into your home. Share a meal, open a Bible, read a passage, discuss what it means to stand in truth today. Real courage grows in small circles before it echoes in large ones. Third, protect your voice. Stop allowing fear of rejection to silence you. Every time you remain quiet when you should speak, you strengthen the chains of silence. Every time you speak, even gently, you weaken those chains. Remember, silence builds prisons. Courage breaks them. Ask yourself this. If you remain silent now, what story will your grandchildren tell about you? Will they say they knew the truth, but they stayed quiet? Or will they say they stood tall when others bowed down? This is the story you're writing with your actions today, and that story will outlive you. I know some of you feel tired, worn down, maybe even hopeless. But hear me, your voice still matters. Your prayers still matter. Your actions still matter. You may think you're too old to fight. That is a lie. You are exactly the ones who must speak now because you've lived long enough to know the difference between lies and truth. And if you walk away, who will remain standing? Type this in the comments if you agree. I will not be silent. Even if your hands shake while typing it, do it. That one declaration could be the first step of courage you take today. And it may give someone else the strength they need to rise. So yes, action is urgent, necessary, and possible. But now comes the darker part, the suppression of truth. Because even as you act, forces are working day and night to bury reality, to confuse you, to distract you, to make you doubt what you saw with your own eyes. This isn't random. It's deliberate. And you need to understand it before you can fight it. That's what we'll uncover next. We need to talk about something uncomfortable, the suppression of truth. Because it's not just that people don't know the truth, it's that powerful systems are actively burying it. And if you don't see how this works, you will be trapped without even realizing it. Here's the terrifying reality. You are not living in an age of information. You are living in an age of narrative control. What you see, what you read, even what you're allowed to search, it's filtered, shaped, and packaged to steer your mind in a certain direction. And the most dangerous part? Most people don't even realize it's happening to them. Charlie Kirk's story is a brutal reminder of this. Because while you heard one version on the news, while you read another version on social media, there's a third version that is quietly being hidden. The version no one wants you to think about, and unless you train yourself to question the surface, you will be fooled by the noise. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how 2 people can watch the same event and walk away with completely different beliefs about what happened? Why do you think that is? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm telling you, your answers will shock even you when you read what others share. There's a psychological tactic at play here. It's called selective framing. When they can't erase the truth, they simply bury it under endless distractions, side stories, and emotional bait. They overwhelm your mind, so you stop asking the real questions. And the more you scroll, the less you actually see. That's not an accident. It's a design. Think about it. How many times have you learned weeks, even months later, that something you were told wasn't true or was only half the story? And then, here's the trick. By the time the truth comes out, people are already too distracted, too tired, too numb to care. That's how lies win. Not by convincing you, but by exhausting you. I want you to answer honestly in the comments. What's one time you discovered the truth way too late? Maybe it was about health, maybe finance, maybe family, maybe something in your local community. Share it, because when you put it in the open, you not only free yourself, you warn others. If you don't learn to detect suppression now, you will not survive what's coming. Because the next stage is even worse. It's not just that the truth is being hidden. It's that people who dare to speak it are being silenced. And what happened around Charlie Kirk is the perfect example of that. The whispers behind closed doors are more chilling than anything you've been told. In point 6, I will reveal what no one is saying publicly, the part of Charlie's story that has been deliberately kept quiet. And once you understand it, you'll see why silence is never an option again. But let me warn you, when you hear it, you won't look at this world the same way. This is what no one is saying, and I believe this insight might save lives, protect your freedoms, and give you clarity in chaos. Point 6. What is being hidden? Truths people aren't talking about. First, it was not a spontaneous act. Everything I have seen suggests that this was a planned operation, not just the act of violence, but the setting, the vulnerabilities, the timing. Security was light, the location was exposed. Witnesses showed that the shooter fired from a rooftop about 200 yards away from the Losey Center building. The tent where Charlie was speaking was in a tent, under minimal cover. Second, the speed and precision matter. He was answering a question, a moment of live debate, a moment people film, people watch, yet just as he spoke, counting or not counting gang violence. A single shot struck him in the neck. That timing suggests more than random chance, it suggests someone knew what they were doing. That the question might provoke a response, that the crowd would be attentive, that the optics would be visible. The preparation is disturbing. Third, there is contradictory information being released, and that's intentional. Early reports said a suspect was in custody, then released, then authorities said the shooter is still at large. That confusion is not just error, it serves to delay truth, to sow doubt, to misdirect. It's nearly impossible to trust the first narrative. Always watch what comes after, the retractions, the silences. Fourth, there is a larger pattern. Experts say this is part of a sharp uptick in political violence in the U.S. This shooting isn't an isolated event, it's a warning flare. People who study domestic violence now call this a watershed moment, that the norms protecting free speech, public safety, public debate are eroding. If this is allowed to stand without full accountability, the next one will be worse, because each silence makes the next violence easier. Point 7. What you can hold on to, rare wisdoms, and how you should live from here. Wisdom 1. Your voice is both your shield and your sword. Shield it with truth, sword it with courage. Use truth daily, not for argument, but for anchor. Speak what's real, pray for clarity, record what you saw, what you believe. Later archives of truth matter. If someone tries to erase your story, you will have your own record. Wisdom 2. Community matters. Not as a crowd, but as trusted circles. When everything is confusing, when reports conflict, the people who walked through it with you, neighbors, church friends, longtime associates, they become the truth holders. When you gather, share, verify, comfort, you resist erasure. Wisdom 3. Let fear sharpen you, not paralyze you. When you feel sickened by what you learn, use that energy, decide you will not be quiet. Perhaps you have never written to a reporter, never hosted a discussion in your home, never asked questions out loud. Begin today. Use that 31-day daily high-impact planner. Day by day, plan one commitment to truth, one small action. By day 10, you will see your courage growing. By day 20, you will see your voice reaching farther than you thought possible. What really happened, the core truth no one is saying. Charlie Kirk was killed, not merely injured, he was dead at the hospital. This is confirmed by multiple independent sources. Reports say he was fatally shot, taken to the hospital, later pronounced dead. The shooter remains unknown. Though people were detained, no one has been charged. Those detentions seem to be investigative stalling. The person of interest was released. Authorities are searching for a lone shooter believed to have used a long-distance rifle from a rooftop. And worse, the official narrative is being shaped to normalize this kind of violence. Some reports call it a political assassination, others avoid that label. Some highlight gun control, others highlight security failures. If you ask what mindset allowed someone to plan this, to see someone speaking truth as a target, almost none talk about the moral decay, the absent accountability, the way people are being silenced. This is why I said at the start, what no one is saying matters more than what everyone is shouting. Your future, your children's future, your community's future, depends on whether you see this clearly. Whether you refuse to let your voice be stolen. If you are watching this, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on the bell notification icon because my next video will go even deeper. There are parts of Charlie's story that have been deliberately kept quiet about who funded security, about what warnings were overlooked, about how some leaders responded off the record. You cannot afford to miss that. Use the 31-day daily high-impact planner. Start tonight. Write down one truth you will fight for. Write one prayer for courage. Write one action tomorrow morning. That simple routine builds resistance in your spirit. Comment below right now. What truth will you not let be buried? Which wrong will you refuse to live quietly with? Write it. We need to see your commitment because commitment makes community. May your voice never be silenced. May your resolve grow. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. Check my playlist for more videos, and I'll see you in the next one.